Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a while, I know, but I'm here with a draft analysis of my EBA team, otherwise known as the Evolutionary Brawler Arena. That's what it is. As you can see, the logo's on the right, hand-drawn. Very nice. I don't think you guys have seen the new logo, commissioned by my good friend Soulblaze. Man, it's fire. I couldn't have asked for a better logo. The Sutopolis Psyducks. Look how good it looks with the drop shadow, guys. Man, it's great. It almost looks like it's actually there on the Photoshop picture. But yeah, why I've been gone, I think I did too much with the previous videos, you know, with animating everything. I was starting to get my groove, but kind of got a little burnout. So I'm not going as hard on the different animations and so much editing and stuff, keeping it a lot more simple, and I think I'll be able to enjoy it more that way. I am a perfectionist in a way, so I like everything to be, you know, very nice, but sometimes I just kind of have to let it not be. My perfectionist side has to go away, stick to the simple things, and yeah. So this is going to be my draft analysis. I do hope you guys enjoy. I do hope you guys stay along. I'm very excited. This will be my first ever Wi-Fi League. Scarlet and Violet, DLC 2, all the new mods. Gonna be loads of fun. I'm very excited. All right, let's hop right into this, guys. So as you guys can see, the first Pokemon I picked up was Iron Valiant. I've actually never drafted it before. And it feels like every time I go against it, it runs my pockets. I mean, look at these base stats. 130, 120, 116 speed. You get that booster energy up. It's outspeeding almost everything in the game, bar some choice scarfs. For anybody new, Quirk Drive is an ability that will boost your highest stat by 1.3 if it's anything but speed, but if it's speed, it'll boost it by 1.5. There's an item called Booster Energy, as you can see, that basically is a one-time use. When you switch out, your boost will go away, but it can also be procced by being in electric terrain. Unfortunately, in Paldea decks, the only electric terrain setter by ability we have is Pincurchin, which is not great because it lost Rising Voltage. Iron Valiant is a fairy fighting type, pretty phenomenal type. The coverage it gets hits everything. You don't really need anything else. It can be run physically or specially due to its very similar stat line. And yeah, that's the first Pokemon I picked up. I have 120 points. This one was 19, the maximum points, as it should be. So I have 101 points left remaining. Let's go into my second Pokemon. So you guys already know we had to pick up Heatran. Heatran is the perfect defensive synergy with Iron Valiant. Now let me tell you why. So Iron Valiant is weak to a few different types. Psychic and Flying are two of them. Heatran resists by 0.5, right? Because of that nice Steel type. What else is Iron Valiant weak to? It's also weak to Steel and Fairy because of its Fairy and Fighting typing. You know what Heatran resists? Quad resists both of those typings. Mwah! Chef's kiss. And also the poison the poison weakness Iron Valiant gets from its Fairy type. Heatran's completely immune to it because of that Steel typing. I mean, absolutely fantastic. Heatran is also a mon I've wanted to use in draft for a long time. Quad weakness mons in draft I think can be a little difficult to use just because your opponent obviously can know that you have that, so they will bring a move that can absolutely annihilate it, but not to say there aren't items I can run to prevent that, like a Sugar Berry or something like an Air Balloon. So the two abilities Heatran has, if you're unfamiliar with, they're both amazing abilities. Flash Fire, basically, you can switch into any fire types. And you get a 0.5 boost to your fire moves. So that Magma Storm, as long as you land it, gonna be running Wide Lens Magma Storm. New secret tech, guys. As long as you land it, I mean, that thing's hitting like a truck on whoever switches in off that base 130 special attack. Flame Body, this is my preferable ability. Anything that makes contact will be burned. So a lot of times, you know, you have physical mons wanting to switch in on Heatran, maybe a fighting type. Oh, they hit me with the close combat. I lived. Oh, they're burned, which makes physical attackers damage in half if you're unfamiliar with it. So it basically neutralizes them pretty heavily. Also, Heatran being a fire type does get options like Will-O-Wisp in case you don't want to rely on that 30% chance. Instead, it's a 85% chance, which Will-O-Wisp sometimes feels like a 30% accurate move, I can't lie. Moving on to the base stats, I mean, we all know Heatran, we all love Heatran. 91 HP, it's fine. 90 attack, you're not using physical attack on this guy. Here's where we get to the good stuff. 106 defense, 130 special attack, 106 speed F. These stat lines are very good. You can run Heatran basically, you can run it offensively, you can run it physically defensively, you can run it specially defensively, you can run it support with a lot of defense. I mean, Heatran's just a very versatile Pokemon. A very nice move pool with a lot of options. Great fit for Iron Valiant. And then, you know, so obviously Heatran has a quad weakness to ground. So the next logical step was, you know, a flying type or a Pokemon with levitate. Well, that's exactly what I did. I got Thunderous Therian. What can I say? Maybe Pokéaim inspired me with the Shuckle Premier League Season 1 usage of it, but I've been wanting to use this guy too. A lot of the mons on my team I've been wanting to use or love using. I'm very happy with this team. Excited to use it. Thunderous Therian, as you can see, monstrous 145 special attack stat. Not many things can switch into this guy. And I picked up one of them in my next pick. But anyways, fantastic typing and electric flying. Does have that electric immunity and Volt Absorb. The base stats, Thunderous Therian, I mean 145 special attack. Its bulk is a little but it's not so bad where it can't live, you know, at least one, maybe a high base power neutral move. 101 speed makes this mon for an excellent choice Scarfer as well. But sometimes you can just run specs and click Thunderbolt, and I mean, it's just so hard to switch into this Pokemon. It has lost a decent amount of coverage over the years, like all the genies have, but I mean, it's still a monster. Just look at his face. You can't tell me he's not about to Thunderbolt you into oblivion. Alright, so as I was saying, the next Pokemon, you know, I've got these three monsters so far. Iron Valiant, Heatran, Thunderous Therian. Three insanely good Pokemon that complement each other so well. So I wanted to start getting, you know, Heatran can be run defensively, but he's not always a defensive Pokemon. So I wanted to start building my defensive backbone. And that's exactly what I did with my next pick. Next up, we've got Goodra, otherwise known as Mr. Tumble. So, Goodra, I mean, that 150 special defense with 90 HP. Such a monster. So hard to deal with an Assault Vest on. And its 110 special attack makes it where it's not just sitting there and it can't hit back. I mean, a 110 special attack, Draco Meteor Stab, that's hurting anything that switches in. So I was able to Terrastalize Goodra. You had to choose one stab and two wild card typings. So I went with the two most defensive typings in the game. Obviously I had to choose Dragon, but then I went with Fairy and Water. You really can't go wrong with these. Fairy, great defensive typing, and same with Water. Goodra has three abilities. Sap Sipper. The attack raise isn't as important, but the grass immunity is very nice to have in certain matchups. Next up is Hydration. Very niche ability. If you have Goodra on a rain team, I mean, it's great ability, because Goodra has no reliable recovery, so getting that little bit of HP each turn in rain is very nice, but we don't have a rain team. And then the last ability, Gooey, is also a very good ability. Anything that makes contact has their speed lowered by 1 stage. It's a great ability. It's also choosing between Gooey and Sap Sipper is very matchup dependent. It really depends what you need more. We all know Goodra's insane base stats. Even 100 attack isn't bad at all. And 80 speed, I mean, Goodra is surprisingly not slow for being this bulky. I remember when I first learned about it back in Generation 7, when I was just a youngster. This thing outsped. It was one of my defensive Pokemon, and I was just so surprised that it actually had a base 80 speed. And yeah, so after picking up Goodra, I was thinking, okay, I want another defensive Pokemon, and that first ability we talked about, Sap Sipper, I mean, that would work well for like a certain dual typing, I was thinking. And the gears started turning in my head, and I thought, water ground, its only weakness is grass, and Goodra can switch in and be completely immune to the grass type. Well, what's some of the best water ground types? Immediately Swampert thought in my head, and as I thought more, Swampert's a great Pokemon. Then I was thinking, Goodra has no reliable recovery, nothing like Recover or Roost. Neither does Swampert, unfortunately. So I started thinking, is there a water ground type that does have it? And there is. So I just had to draft it. Next up is Gastrodon. I've actually I can't remember the last time I've used this Pokemon. It's been a long time. The Gastrodon does get access to recovery. We all know how great the water ground typing is. It literally makes some Pokemon, aka Gastrodon, due to its kind of middling stats, but the typing makes up for it. We've got Sticky Hold, an actually good ability. I think people sleep on it a little bit. I think on Gastrodon, it's not the most fantastic thing, but it can be very good on certain Pokemon. Storm Drain, great ability. You get a water immunity, which is a very common typing, and it not only is immune, but it raises your special attack by 1 stage. So you are hitting pretty hard. I mean, only 92 special attack, but after a +1, very nice. And then Sand Force is the other ability. It could be good, I guess, in Sandstorm, but I still think Storm Drain or Sticky Hold is probably better in most cases, even on a Sandstorm team. We see Goodra. We see Gastrodon's base stats. 111 HP is fantastic, and its defenses really aren't that bad. 68 defense and 82 Spit F. The HP makes up for it quite a bit, and 92 special attack isn't so bad, especially when you have access to recovery, access to hazards that you can kind of just sit there and spam at your opponent. So after getting, these 5 Pokemon work extremely well with each other. It's like a well-oiled machine. But I did notice something about the team. I had no hazard removal yet. So my next pickup had to be something. It's either Rapid Spin or Defog. And we know how difficult that is in the Paldea region. A lot of mods lost it. Granted, DLC 2 did give us at least some more, but man, it's still terrible out here. So I was looking over the document, seeing what fit best. I was messaging some of my friends for some advice, sending them my draft plan, etc. And I came across maybe a queen. That's right, my next pickup was Serena. This Pokemon did get buffed in DLC 2. It gained Triple Axle back, and I think something else. I cannot remember the second one. But a great Pokemon. Great Rapid Spinner. I fought against this in Burn Tower Season 1 against the owner, Steve Guy, and he kind of ran my pockets with it. I didn't know this thing is surprisingly bulky, 98 defense and Spit F, and a lot of times you run a lot of HP in this. I mean, it's kind of a demon, especially with Triple Axle back. It can hit them flying types that it's usually had a little difficulty dealing with. Running through the abilities, Leaf Guard. I'm not even going to mention it. It's so terrible. Queenly Majesty, an amazing ability. The Pokemon and its allies, but that's for double battles, are protected from priority moves. So this guy wants to Mach Punch me to finish me off because I'm on 10%. Nope, can't do that. And then Sweet Veil actually isn't that bad. Pokemon and its allies can't fall asleep. Those already asleep do not wake up. It just can't be put to sleep. I could see it being used in a very niche sense, you know. Maybe something that likes to run Yawn a lot because it's a grass type, so it can't be spored. I could see it having a niche use, but Serena's stats, I mean, 120 attack. So for being a rapid spinner and mainly a supportive mon, it can hit back really hard. And it's deceptively bulky, as I was saying. I mean, 98 base defenses is nothing to scoff at. 72 speed is alright because a lot of the times it would get that +1 speed from rapid spin, which it loves. And, you know, between grass, ice, and a lot of times you run knockoff on this thing, between those three typings, it makes it very difficult to switch into Serena without taking a good amount of damage. So, my next Pokemon, I was actually unsure after these 6. I was a little lost, I'll be honest. Going in around 7, I was unsure at what I wanted to pick up. I kind of felt like I needed, you know, maybe another hazard removal, maybe a few different typings, and maybe something that was above Iron Valiant speed, because Iron Valiant loves the booster energy speed. So something maybe in the 120s, maybe 130s range would be great to have a higher speed mon that doesn't require booster energy to boost it. And that's exactly what I went for. That's right. Somehow we got Weavile with triple Axle back newly in DLC 2 in round 7. I don't know how Weavile made it all the way to round 7, but I'm not complaining. I mean, it fit the team extremely well. I had a lot of special attackers in Heatran, Thundurus, Goodra, Gastrodon. So getting another physical attacker was very nice. 2 types I don't have as well in Dark and Ice. And we all know Weavile. The abilities are a little middling. Pressure it can be okay. Like, I guess if you're against a stally Pokemon, getting those recover PPs out faster would be nice. Pickpocket can be funny. It can be very funny. Usually when it happens, everybody goes wild. But it's usually not that great, especially on Weavile, who has not great defenses. You usually don't get hit by many contact moves, and if you do, you usually die. So, it's not great. Also, it does pair with Serena quite well because a great Weavile counter is Mach Punch or Vacuum Wave. You know, something with priority since Weavile is so fast. Hit it quad for its quad weakness and fighting. Oh, I can switch into Serena and be completely unaffected due to Queenly Majesty. So great synergy there. Weavile stats, you know, 120 attack, 125 speed. Its special defense actually isn't too bad, 85 with 70 HP. It can probably live a few things, and then 65 defense isn't great, but Weavile, he's not here to take hits. He's here to dish out the hits. Alright, and so my next pickup, after getting Weavile, which was a lot of points, only have 29 left for at least, I think, 2 or 3 more mons, I can't remember. I had to, you know, drag the slider over to the right, get towards the lower pointer mons. You know, I'm talking 3, 4, 5, 6 pointers. And that's exactly what I did. We picked up Drifblim. Now Drifblim, it's an interesting Pokemon, okay? A ghost type, never bad to have. It fit the team well. Another ground immunity, you know, it's great for Heatran, just makes Heatran that much a little better. And this Pokemon, you will see, it has great synergy with my final pick. I think my final pick meshes this whole draft together with a nice little bow on top. But let's stick to Drifblim for now. The Ghost Flying type, a pretty nice typing. It has 3 interesting abilities, I gotta admit. I'm a fan of all 3 of these. First up, probably the worst and most situational is definitely Aftermath. this Pokemon is hit by a move, it loses a fourth of its max HP. I could definitely see this being useful. I was running some ideas in my head. If something that maybe you can't quite one-hit KO, but can do around 80% towards 70, 75. This could be very useful to take out a threat on the opposing team. Because a fourth of max HP is a pretty good chunk, especially if the Pokemon has no recovery. Next up is what Drifblim's famous for, especially Drifloon in the Little Cup, Unburden. The speed is doubled on the item loss. So a lot of times you'd like to run Grassy Seed, Psychic Seed, that sort of stuff. Drifloon likes to run Berry Juice and Little Cup. It's a great item. It makes Drifblim, sorry, extremely fast and can honestly sweep sometimes. The next one is a very cool ability, Flare Boost. When it's burned, its special attacks have 1.5 power, so a lot of times you like to run that Flame Orb. You can get some very high power Shadow Balls that way. Drifblim, it has a very interesting base stat total. It's got a monstrous 150 HP stat, 90 special attacks, okay, 80 speed. It's good with Unburden. It's all you really need. Its defenses are very low, but its high HP stat does make up for it somewhat. Okay, its defenses are still really low, but it can still be a defensive mon just because of it. You can just crank the EVs and some HP and some special defense if you need, and it can live quite a few hits. Drifblim, I'm very excited to use this thing. I don't think I've ever used this in a competitive sort of battling scene. Seems very fun to use. 3 cool abilities, a cool typing, and yeah. So I believe the next mon, they're gonna call me the ground immunity king with how many of these Pokemon I'm drafting, and that's what the next mon is. My team really loved a psychic type. As you can see, I don't have one yet, and it's just a nice typing offensively and defensively to have on your team. Unfortunately, all the way in round 9, a lot of the best psychic types were already taken. So I was looking towards what are some more niche psychic types? The Lake Spirits, or the Lake Trio, whatever you want to call them. Azelf was unfortunately already taken, and I didn't really need the bulk that came from Uxie. I've got Goodra, I've got Gastrodon, I've got Heatran, even Serena, all have pretty good bulk. I needed a little bit more offensive stats. So what if I just combined Azelf and Uxie? And that's exactly what I did. So we got Mesprit, basically like combining the two Pokemon. A psychic type with a ground immunity was great for my team. A lot of people sleep on Mesprit, but its stats really aren't that bad. Levitate's a great ability. Pure psychic type, never bad. It can be offensive or defensive, whichever I need it to. The Lake Spirits have great coverage, great utility. They're just good mons. I mean, what can you say? Look at Mesprit. It's got little pink dreads. Interesting. So, I mean, I don't think there's much to say about Mesprit. I think I've said all about what I can. So the next thing I picked up, I realized my removal options were Serena and Drifblim. And obviously, Drifblim, it's a little more niche. It's not going to be brought to every game. And Serena, I need something else. Like, it's a great spinner, but having a third option is always fantastic. And I've wanted to use this Pokemon for a while. It did have its own signature move. To 2 other Pokemon. It does have a high speed. It's a great remover, and it honestly can sometimes sweep games if it clicks it. Yeah, you guessed it. It's the family of mice. Mousehold. Another Ghost Resist was much needed, or immunity, I guess. Because Weavile ain't taking hits. He's dishing out hits, so this was a great Pokemon. I know in the bottom, showing the whole team, it does look like Dandamouse, but if I wanted it enlarged, I couldn't fit the whole family. I'm sorry, little guys, but you get to be at least on the main stage. It does have 2 good abilities. I actually didn't know it had Cheek Pouch. Friend Guard is completely useless in singles, but Cheek Pouch is kind of cool. I don't see myself running it over Technician ever, because Technician is such a great ability. Boosting that population bomb power each time it hits, it's great. Now my sold stats may look a little middling, and they're not the best. 111 speed, fit very well on the team. The rest of his stats are meh, but it's mainly used as just come in, click tidy up, and click population bomb. I mean, there's not many other things Mousehold does, but it is very great at clicking tidy up and clicking population bomb in front of whatever is in front of it, because it hits pretty damn hard. And unless you have a ghost, which it does get bite, I know, crazy ghost coverage. Unless you have a steel type, it's hard to switch into this guy, I'll be honest. I mean, you may think 75 attack isn't low, but you crank all your EVs in there, crank them in speed, it's out speeding everything at +1. And you know, that multi-hit, very high chance. I can't remember the chances, but I mean, it's always hitting 7 or 8 times, it feels like. With population bomb, that hurts. It's usually a 2-hit KO on most Pokemon, even quite defensive Pokemon. So going into the last 2 rounds, you know, this is a well-diverse team. I'm a fan, but I realized one thing: a big speed gap. It went from 80 base speed, which you know, like Drifblim and Mesprit, into 101, which is thunderous. So it would allow high 90 base point mons to be able to run a plus attacking nature, whether it be adamant or modest, and not have to run a plus speed nature. So I needed something, at least, you know, 85 to 95, somewhere within that range. With only 6 points left, I mean, there really weren't many options. But I was able to find a diamond in the rough. Was able to find the GOAT. That's right. We got Squawkabilly with Terastallization. Now, as previously stated, 1 stab, 2 wild card. But I feel like Squawkabilly likes to be a normal sometimes, likes to be a flying sometimes. So I gave him both his stabs and fighting as a 3rd wild card type, as I feel like he likes those boosted facades from Guts, you know, with 2 times power. Or, you know, just hitting Brave Birds with Hustle. Well, hitting's a ironic word to use there, but Squawkabilly does have 3 great abilities. Intimidate, we all know how good Intimidate is. Hustle can be great. Can be, as long as you hit your moves. And then Guts is also a great ability, you know, running that Flame Orb Facade. I could Terra Normal. I mean, 96 attack isn't too bad, and it'd be hard to switch into this guy once he's got that Flame Orb proc, once he's Terastallized into the normal, to get that 2-time stab. Just look at the guy. He's literally the Fruit Loops mascot. How could I not draft him? He's such a silly guy. His stats are middling, but he's a 2-point Pokemon. Honestly, for 2 points, I think he's not bad. I think he's maybe a 3-pointer. Especially with Terra. But I might be biased just because it's Squawkagoaty. So the last Pokemon, as I was saying earlier, it meshes so well into this team. I mean, it's the GOAT. You guessed it. It's Thwacky. That's what I'm talking about. Grassy Surge. Now let me explain all of these different synergies. To start with, Heatran. They're forced to run high horsepower because Earthquake's damage is halved in grassy terrain, if you didn't know. And Heatran's biggest weakness is ground types. So, or ground type moves, so a great synergy there. It also has a great synergy with Goodra, because Goodra has no reliable recovery, so getting that little HP recovery from the grassy terrain each turn is fantastic for it, gives it much more sustainability. Third, we have Serena. It can boost up its power whips, I think it's called Trop Kick. Its grass type attacks will be boosted in the grassy terrain as well. And then lastly, we have Drifblim. With the Unburden, I can run the Grassy Seed. I can outspeed everything except Regieleki because it's Regieleki. And yeah, I mean, it just fit into the team so well. I was able to Terastallize it. I had to choose the Grass Stab, obviously. And then we have Steel and Water, just 2 great defensive typings. Grassy Surge, you guys know some is Grassy Terrain. If I bring Overgrow 1 week, just know I didn't mean to. And for being a second evolution Thwacky has not bad stats. 85 attack means, you know, them wood hammers and grassy terrain are gonna hurt. And with 70 defense and 60 special defense, being able to hold that Eviolite, it becomes really bulky and annoying, especially once you get that grassy surge, little bit of healing each turn. This thing can just sit on the field sometimes and click buttons, as it's very hard to remove, especially into a Terra Steel or Terra Water. 80 speed obviously isn't bad at all, and you know, usually you just crank a lot of EVs into HP, in defense or special defense, whichever you may need more for that matchup. But as you can see, I had 1 point remaining. Sucks. I like to usually try and use all my points. It'll let me draft 13 Pokemon. But it's no worries. I think I got a great team. Very excited to use it. Be on the lookout for my game this week. Might be this week, might be next week, unsure when it will be uploaded. But yeah, I'm very excited to use this team. A lot of mons. I've wanted to use a lot of mons I have used before in the past that have been great to me. And yeah, here's the team overview, guys. Here's all 12 of the Pokemon I drafted, as well as the Pseudopolis Psyducks with the new logo, man. Every time I look at it, I like it more and more, I gotta admit. The Psyduck, he's so derpy, I love him. With the EBA logo. These 12 Pokemon, I think we could bring home a championship. I honestly think we can. And I think Thwacky is going to be the forerunner of it. I hope to see you guys in the following weeks of my battles. I'm very excited to post content again. I hope you guys tuned in and enjoyed this video. And that's all for now.